Oprah did a big interview with Harry and Meghan on CBS, which makes sense because when I turned it on, boy, did I see BS. You can hate the racism but not love them for everything else. You know, I mean, Meghan did claim that before dating Harry, she never Googled him, and she said she didn't know much about the royal family. Yeah, on the first 3 dates, she thought it was Ed Sheeran.
When Bill Maher takes aim at Meghan Markle, it isn't a polite critique. It's a full-scale teardown delivered with surgical precision. Maher slices through the self-pity, the staged narratives, and the endless cries for validation with the kind of wit that leaves no place to hide. Every carefully polished victimhood story collapses under his mockery. Every attempt at moral superiority gets exposed as shallow performance. By the time he's done, Meghan isn't the misunderstood duchess. She's the poster child for hollow celebrity self-importance.
Gen Z terrorist uses ChatGPT to write manifesto. Meghan Markle complains that nobody has complained about her for a while. And Burger King unveils robot worker so life it jerks off in your fries. All right. So let's...
Bill Maher has never been afraid to skewer sacred cows, and Meghan Markle isn't just a sacred cow. She's the entire pasture. To Maher, her story isn't some tragic royal fairy tale. It's a masterclass in how to play the victim while living in mansions, sipping lattes, and calling it suffering. He tears into her with the precision of someone who sees through the facade immediately. Meghan doesn't present authenticity. She presents a production, and Maher treats her less like a duchess and more like an overambitious B-list actress who stumbled onto a global stage and mistook the applause for destiny.
They just strike me as creatures of that generation. You know, you're just fragile. You know, just take a hint from the Queen, the recently departed.
Never complain, never explain, and rarely be heard speaking in public.
You're complaining about your hard life, and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous.
The thing about Meghan, Maher points out, is that every single chapter of her life comes wrapped in the same self-congratulatory packaging. She's forever misunderstood, forever marginalized, forever the target of some shadowy prejudice that seems to follow her like a personal cloud. But Maher doesn't buy it for a second. He sees what everyone else sees, a carefully curated script. It's a performance of perpetual grievance, with Meghan as both star and director, casting herself as the world's most persecuted princess. Maher laughs at the absurdity of it because no one who lives in multi-million-dollar California estates gives interviews to Oprah in designer gowns and lectures the world about struggle should get away with calling themselves oppressed.
Restaurant Trends 2020. Buffets. That did not age well. Prince Harry and Meghan, the power couple that will save the monarchy. The sky's the limit for Malaysia Airlines. Oh, that.
Maher doesn't just go after the narrative, he goes after the machinery that sustains it. Meghan's endless PR cycles, the carefully timed leaks, the calculated bombshell interviews. It all reeks of desperation. It isn't authenticity, it's marketing. And Maher tears it apart with relish. He calls her out for treating every grievance like a press tour, every complaint like a Netflix pitch. To him, Meghan isn't just telling her story, she's monetizing it. And the kicker? The story isn't even good.
Coronation is coming up, and I know you're probably trying to suppress your wild excitement.
Okay.
Will you be watching?
No. Of course not. It's not my country, and it's stupid.
Do you care about the royal family?
Of course not. It's an anachronism, and it's... I've said this to people who are royals to their face. I'm not going to call you Your Highness.
Really? Who did you say that to?
I said that to Queen Noor.
At the heart of Maher's demolition is the hypocrisy. Meghan talks about privacy while signing multi-million-dollar deals with streaming platforms. She complains about the press while inviting the press into her most intimate moments. She rails against the royals while cashing in on every ounce of royal association. Maher skewers this contradiction with ease, mocking the idea that anyone can declare war on publicity while simultaneously hiring the world's best PR strategists. It's not courage, it's opportunism.
Meghan Markle Googled, is the race card an actual card?
What the hell? What did I say? He victimized me. It's because I'm an ethnic woman. He can't do that. I'll say, wait, you're ethnic? This is an outrage.
You know, Steve, we are like Harry and Meghan. No one's rooting for us, but you'll tune in to watch anyway.
But Maher doesn't stop at Meghan's hypocrisy. He goes after the endless victimhood. According to Meghan, no room is safe, no platform too large, no audience too sympathetic to hear the same refrain. She has been wronged. Yet Maher points out what millions quietly whisper. This isn't oppression, it's entitlement dressed up as tragedy. She isn't brave for speaking out, she's insufferable for never shutting up. Her version of courage is exhausting everyone else with her monologues about injustice while refusing to acknowledge her own breathtaking privilege. Maher also dismantles the Meghan and Harry dynamic because, let's be honest, Harry is little more than a sidekick in the Meghan show. Maher savages this transformation, painting Harry as a man who traded honor for hand-holding, gravitas for grievance. It's not a marriage, it's a joint PR stunt with better lighting.
Have you been hanging out with Meghan and Harry since
No.
they've been in California?
No, I don't know them.
What do you think of them?
I admire Harry for going to Afghanistan. Anybody who's had military service, I can only criticize so much because I haven't. And there's nothing that compares to military service. But they're ridiculous after that. They want it both ways. You know, you can't be, these people were so mean to us and poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
The beauty of Maher's takedown lies in how he refuses to let Meghan hide behind the usual defenses. He isn't swayed by claims of racism or misogyny because he sees the pattern. Meghan frames every criticism as prejudice, not because it's true, but because it's convenient. By doing this, she turns legitimate critique into untouchable territory. But Maher bulldozes through that shield. To him, not every eye roll at Meghan's antics is racism. Not every sigh at her dramatics is misogyny. Sometimes it's just the world being tired of her endless self-promotion. Maher also loves pointing out the absurdity of Meghan's contradictions. One moment, she's lamenting the suffocating constraints of royal life, comparing herself to prisoners unable to breathe. The next moment, she's lamenting that she wasn't celebrated enough. The contradiction is so glaring, it doesn't need embellishment. Maher simply shines a spotlight on it and lets the audience laugh at the sheer ridiculousness.
It was Ed Sheeran. That's how much she didn't. Come on. Just don't lie to me, you know. Come on, Meghan. You filmed your television show for years in Toronto. Every time you bought a mochaccino, you used coins with your mother-in-law's face on it. I think
And then there's Meghan's obsession with controlling the narrative. Every book, every interview, every podcast, it's always about reclaiming the story. But Maher has the killer line. Maybe the story doesn't need reclaiming, maybe it just needs to be better. Because what Meghan fails to realize is that people aren't bored with the truth. They're bored with her endless attempts to resell it. There's only so much outrage you can generate before people start rolling their eyes and changing the channel. Maher also exposes Meghan's desperate chase for Hollywood validation. After all, what is her brand if not a constant audition? Whether it's voiceovers for Disney, Netflix documentaries, or staged paparazzi photos, Meghan isn't above hustling for the role of global icon. But Maher isn't fooled. He sees an actress whose biggest break wasn't a hit TV series, but marrying into the most famous family on earth, and then trying to parlay that marriage into a global empire of relevance. It's not talent, Maher insists. It's opportunism dressed up as destiny. What makes Maher's takedown sting even more is how he frames Meghan not as a villain, but as a cliche. Maher doesn't just roast Meghan, he files her neatly into the long list of self-important stars who burned bright on scandal and faded into irrelevance when the spotlight moved on.
Harry gave up a castle. What do you got to lose, an air mattress? Break the cycle. Think outside the crib. There must be 50 ways to leave your mother. You don't have to do what your folks did. You don't have to get married and have children if you don't want to, or go hunting, or work in a coal mine. You don't have to be the religion you were born into, or any religion. You can explore an alternative way of looking at the universe called not batshit crazy.
By the time Maher is done, Meghan Markle isn't the brave duchess fighting against the cruel machinery of monarchy and media. She's exactly what Maher has always suspected. A professional complainer, a brand built on grievance, a celebrity who somehow convinced millions that her problems mattered more than anyone else's. The facade of strength, authenticity, and courage is stripped away, leaving only what Maher gleefully points out, a hollow pursuit of relevance wrapped in designer clothing. And the final blow? Maher doesn't just reduce Meghan, he trivializes her. In his world, she isn't some grand figure shaping history. By the end, Meghan isn't the misunderstood Duchess, the modern Diana, or the voice of the oppressed. She's the punchline in Maher's demolition, another self-important celebrity exposed for what she truly is: ordinary, insecure, and laughably desperate for applause.
Markle targeted Prince Harry. She wanted to be a star. She rejected a couple of other British guys who weren't powerful enough. Then she was rejected by a bunch of them. How embarrassing for Prince Harry to have been the one who fell for it. What a dope. We had Tom Bauer on their show on Friday being like, Prince Harry's dumb. That's why he went for the one that, I don't know, all these other soccer stars rejected and so on. But they were conniving, and they saw a means to stardom, to fame, to being self-centered for a living. And the same is true with Kim Kardashian and her sex tape. They're on parallel lines. And what's happened? We've rewarded them.
Maher doesn't just dismantle Meghan's contradictions, he thrives on showing how she turns every minor inconvenience into a headline act of global suffering. A polite shrug from a palisade becomes an epic saga of emotional warfare. A designer dress not fitting right morphs into a symbol of systemic oppression. It's the inflation of the ordinary into the extraordinary, the constant need to inflate her life into myth. And Maher rips it apart by reducing it to what it really is: high-maintenance whining on a global stage. The brilliance of Maher's roast lies in his refusal to play along with Meghan's carefully curated image. Where others tiptoe around the branding of modern royalty, Maher charges straight in with a spotlight and says, "This isn't authenticity. This is PR on steroids." He reminds the world that Meghan isn't some symbol of rebellion against the monarchy. She's a marketer who found her biggest client, herself. And like every overexposed brand, the more she sells herself, the cheaper the product looks.
Credit, but not a lot. Because they want to be seen as this modern couple, way hipper than the other stuffy ones in the family. Okay, then go all the way and say it. Say, we're not just taking a step back from royalty, we're renouncing the whole outdated, racist, anachronistic lot of it.
Maher hammers on the irony. Meghan wanted freedom from scrutiny, but built her empire on demanding attention. She rails against media intrusion while setting up Netflix cameras in her living room. She claims she wants privacy while signing podcast deals that dissect her personal grievances like a for-profit therapy session. Maher doesn't let that hypocrisy slide for a second. He paints the picture of someone who left one palace just to build another. Except this one is built out of Netflix checks and Oprah sound bites instead of stone and crown jewels. The roast hits harder when Maher zeroes in on her fixation with victimhood. To him, it's not just opportunistic, it's exhausting. In his eyes, Meghan's career has become one long monologue about how unfair life is to her, despite the fame, wealth, and opportunities that most people couldn't dream of. Maher ridicules the spectacle of a millionaire duchess lecturing the world about suffering while sipping designer lattes in a Montecito mansion. It's not empathy, he argues. It's performance art, and bad performance art at that.
She's a brat. We know from Dan Wootton's reporting that she was upset about her tiara. She wanted the one and she couldn't get it. And Harry said what Meghan wants, Meghan gets, and the Queen had to reprimand him. That's the kind of story that makes people dislike you. Your wife abandoned her entire family. She cut ties with virtually everybody whose shoulders she had stood on her way up the fame scale, just as soon as she met you. Well, that seems a little rude too. Kind of disloyal. Your fights with the press. Forget the lawsuits, though. It's your whiny statements about the nasty press. You don't think George Clooney's had negative things written about him? Tom Cruise had negative things written about him? He doesn't use his speeches or his media appearances to whine about the mean media. They say the things that aren't true. We're sick of it. Shut up about your negative press coverage.
And then Maher drives the nail in deeper by contrasting her self-proclaimed independence with her actual choices. For all the talk of being her own woman, Meghan's fame was turbocharged by marrying into a monarchy she pretends to despise. Maher highlights the contradiction. The rebel duchess is still trading off the title she claims to have rejected. Maher's roast becomes devastating when he widens the scope beyond Meghan's contradictions and into her cultural impact. He frames her as the poster child for an age obsessed with branding over substance. In Meghan, he sees a culture that rewards grievance more than accomplishment, image more than reality, victimhood more than resilience. She's not just the duchess who left the palace. She's the embodiment of a generation that believes a camera crew and a hashtag can replace hard-earned respect.
How can that possibly be constitutional? To tax some, oh my God.
Yeah.
California, it's even worse than I thought.
Yeah. It really got you
That
by the
is
balls.
that's really upsetting.
Yeah.
So when Prince Harry and Meghan go back to England, they will have to be paying state taxes to California?
If they've lived here over a certain number of years.
Every barb lands because Maher doesn't simply mock, he contextualizes. He draws the connection between Meghan's endless self-reinvention and a culture addicted to self-promotion. He shows how her every move mirrors a society that thrives on outrage but rarely offers solutions. And in that sense, Meghan becomes bigger than herself. She becomes the perfect example of what Maher sees as the decline of authenticity in public life. And in the final sting, Maher reminds his audience that the monarchy survived centuries of war, scandal, abdication, and political upheaval, but it still looks sturdier than Meghan Markle's PR empire. The royals may be outdated, but at least they're consistent. Meghan, on the other hand, has built a castle on quicksand, and Maher gleefully points out that the tide is coming in.